Flying Bull Productions presents LaF, Literature and Film.
Welcome to the special edition of LaF. LaF goes to the Oscars. The review du jour is Ridley Scott's sci-fi drama, The Martian. Matt Damon has been nominated as Best Actor for his role as Mark Watney, an astronaut stranded on Mars after accidentally being assumed dead. The rest of the film's cast is a who's who of Hollywood elite, featuring Jessica Chastain, Kate Mara, and Michael Pena as the astronauts racing to save Mark, and Jeff Daniels, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Sean Bean, and Kristen Wiig, comprising the NASA staff coordinating the rescue. This box office juggernaut has a legitimate chance to collect a lot of Oscar gold. The film has been a smash hit with audiences and critics alike, so it is no surprise the film has garnered 7 Academy Award nominations, including Adapted Screenplay, Production Design, and Visual Effects. Join LaF as they strap in for an intergalactic voyage to the 4th planet to review The Martian.
Welcome to episode 128. Today we're talking about The Martian.
Again.
Yeah, we previously talked about this back in the fall when the film came out, but since it's up for Best Picture, we're talking about it again. The voice you're hearing across from me is Richard Lusk, and I, of course, am Ryan Bull. So let's jump into it. You were moderately big on this film when it came out. You weren't over the moon like I was.
Not like you. You
to
were
use
excited.
a space metaphor.
Yeah, you were jumping out of your rocket booster for this movie. I was surprised at how long it was and how quickly it went by.
Yeah, it was 2.5 hours. I didn't really notice people fidgeting. I did notice some of the older people in the crowd going to have to use the bathroom after 2 hours, but that's to be expected.
Right.
Your bladder can tell time, right, even when your mind is being occupied.
There were things about the movie I didn't enjoy as much as you. You seemed to, because you read the book, you had more insight into some of the nuances of character, and you were able to fill in the backstory of some of the bigger plot points that, or maybe more nuanced plot points that I really didn't have access to. And I'm not saying that diminished my enjoyment of the film any. I just think it gave me a different experience.
Have you gone back and rewatched this film?
I saw it, bits and pieces of it, with my fiance and her father. Her father was involved in NASA research into interplanetary travel, and he worked with a space shuttle in the 80s, through the 80s and early 90s. And then he was I thought he'd be interested in it because you kept telling me how technically accurate the film or the book was, and the film proved to be. So we gave him the book for Christmas. He hadn't seen the movie yet, and then he went and saw the movie with us on, I guess it was on In Demand or iTunes or something. We watched it together, and he really enjoyed it. He liked, like you, the fact that it was technically accurate and for the most part, and science-based. I think that was the big appeal for you, right?
Yeah, and in a lot of ways, I liked that the science all worked and you were still able to tell an interesting movie. So often in Hollywood, they make these films based somewhat on science that just have huge plot holes. They're just stupid. One of my favorite bad science movies is The Core, where we have to drill down into the Earth's center, and they're not really drilling. Apparently, they're blasting the Earth out of the way with some sort of ray gun thing.
It disappears.
It just disappears.
Like the poo in Greed.
Yeah, like the poo in Greed. So, films like that, your Armageddons and stuff like that, they're gloriously bad science films, and it makes you feel like, oh, well, science can't be interesting, NASA can't be interesting, and I know that's not true. You've got movies like Apollo 13, Gravity to more or less,
right,
of an effect. So I do like to see science getting its due and still having interesting films. The book, I do think, went more in depth, and I guess I was wondering if on subsequent viewings you were picking up smaller little bits, because there are lots of quick little bits of dialogue to fill in the gaps.
No, because I haven't watched it all the way straight through. I think it's not anything I want to reapproach
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that in the marketing leading up to Interstellar, a lot of it was the fact that it was science-based, and I think they had Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about the movie in advance of its release. That was the Christopher Nolan's Interstellar from a year before.
Mm-hmm.
This movie had all that, but it didn't seem to market it that way. It seemed to market more of the human aspect of it and the likability of Matt Damon. So if I were to watch it again, I think I would be watching it more for entertainment than to try to pick out the technical nuance. It just doesn't, I mean, you know, I don't have really a scientific mind anyway, so that kind of stuff doesn't interest me. Kind of glaze over.
I wonder with this film how well it's going to hold up in 20 or 30 years, because I think when we go back,
are on Mars.
Yeah, and when one of the hardest things movies have is to depict technology of the future, how to imagine it. You know, go back and watch Alien, where they have these huge computer screens with 500 buttons, you know, and every button does something, and that's not the way technology progressed. Now it's all touchscreen, voice commands, stuff like that.
Right.
Does the technology in this film still feel like it works in 20 years? You know, does it seem to be an accurate depiction?
They avoided AI in this movie, which seems to be, I mean, it was glaring in its absence because that's what all the talk is about now. If you think about science and where we're headed in that window in terms of the singularity. So this movie just sort of ignores the idea that there would have been artificial intelligence helping him along the way and helping solve these problems. So in that sense, again, it's a very human story, very based on real things, real events. Like I could see some people thinking that this was like a documentary. It seemed that real.
Oh yeah, I mean,
unlike Terminator, where somebody's obviously fake, and this doesn't look at all fake. So I don't know. I'm not very good at prognosticating for the future. In terms of making predictions, do you think this wins any Oscars?
I think it could win some of the technical stuff, visual effects. I mean, what they did was pretty amazing. This movie got moved up 2 months in advance. They got out of the way of the Star Wars juggernaut. They also had to move around some stuff for their production schedules. But when you, at the very end, I think it was in the middle of summer, they moved this up 2 months to an October release. When you tell that to a visual effects team and they've already planned out all that time and now they have to get rid of it, that's pretty amazing. The shots in this movie are seamless. People should go and seek out the videos that got submitted to the Academy Awards committee on the visual effects and the level of work that they did.
Would Mark Watney have had a better chance? Well, he's saved anyway, so this is sort of a moot question.
Spoiler.
Yeah, we already decided we're going to spoil everything.
Yeah, but you get away with the spoiler. I get blasted whenever I spoil something.
Would he, how do I want to phrase this? I guess maybe I'm asking, I want to know how you would react if you were in this situation.
Oh, would I be able to do what Mark Watney does and carry on?
Yeah, just in terms of the isolation. Not in terms of the science. We're just assuming that you would have the scientific knowledge that he possesses. Do you think you have the strength?
No, I don't have that type. I mean, these are the best of the best. I mean,
No. I'm saying that we're assuming that you do have that.
Oh, and I do. Not just the scientific stuff.
The scientific stuff we're saying that you have.
The personality.
Do you have the personality where you could survive for, how long was he up there? 12 months, 8 months, 16 months?
Oh, I think it's longer than that in the book. It's like 2 years.
I can't remember what the movie sets up, but
the
it's at least a couple of years. He's there all alone.
Could I do that?
Yeah, you think you could? Do you think you could?
I think I could do the loneliness. I don't think I could keep my nose to the grindstone and keep looking at things positively, even when it looks like I'm going to die time and time again.
All right, so
that I think is the really difficult stuff, and that's what sets astronauts apart from everyone else.
All right, so
do you think you could do that?
I could handle the isolation. I wouldn't be able to handle the work that requires to have a couple of potatoes.
And then I mean, he carries on at first for better part of like half a year before he even gets in communication with NASA.
Yeah, I think once he gets contact with some outside, either his crew or whatever, back on Earth, I think it becomes a little bit easier for him.
Well,
Right.
and even just the problem solving of, this is going to kill me in 3 years. I'm going to run out of food.
Right.
But I'll worry about that later. I'm going to take care of the immediate concerns.
Right.
That's pretty amazing.
Okay, let's say within 18 months you have it's a sort of a miracle. The movie doesn't play it up as much as it could have been. Like, I think that he has a very, very slim chance of survival. Like, in reality, because all these other factors have to come into play. Not only does he have to save himself last for 18 months or 24 months or however long it is, there also has to be a rescue mission that goes right coming from Earth or rocketing around Earth the way that they do. All right, so let's say within 24 months, you have a 15% chance of being rescued. Would you trade in 10% of that for another person? That is, if you could have another person with you on this planet and you would survive for the 24 months, but you only have now a 5% chance of making it to the end and being rescued, would you trade that in? Would you spend the last...
Who's the person? I mean, are we talking like a Kate Upton?
Oh, I thought you were going to say your wife.
Or my wife? Or Kate Upton?
No, I mean...
If she'll have me.
It would be another astronaut. They've already gone through the compatibility tests. And
I'm just saying, the astronauts in this film look pretty good looking. Do I get Jessica Chastain or Kate Mara?
Either one of those two. Or... you might wind up with
Sebastian Shaw.
Who's
Michael Pena?
Yeah, Michael Pena. The modern day Cheech.
I would like to think I would give myself the best chance of survival, so I would want to keep that 15 rather than
you wouldn't trade it in.
For,
you'd want to, okay. All right.
Wait. Do I get Kate Upton or not?
You don't know. It's going to be one of those. That's a big surprise at the end.
Do you want what's behind curtain?
It's not
number
Kate
one,
Upton. It would be Kate Mara.
Kate Mara
or Jessica Chastain. All right, that was a convoluted way of coming around.
Would you do that?
No, I don't think I'd ever choose that.
You would want to survive.
Yeah.
So then you're a hero. You come back to Earth where Kate Upton lives.
Is he a hero?
Yeah.
You think Mark Watney's a hero? I mean, he didn't save anybody else. They spent billions of dollars to go get him back. He only really saved himself. Are you heroic if all you do is save your own ass?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
If you manage to... Robinson Crusoe wasn't a hero?
I don't know. I'm asking you what you think that makes you heroic. I thought heroicism involved doing something for someone else, like saving someone else's life.
You don't think what Hugh Glass does in The Revenant, staying alive, is pretty amazing?
I don't know. It might be amazing. I don't know if it qualifies as hero. I guess in the classical sense it does. Odysseus everybody in Odysseus' crew dies except for him. There's another spoiler for you.
I mean, if I had children, I would want them to look at someone who manages to survive and never gives up and hold that person up as a hero.
So he's a role model. Is he a hero?
Yes, I think that's...
All right, we're just parsing words. We're just getting into ridiculous arguments about potential heroicism.
One of the things I really liked about this movie, there are some great moral debates in this film.
They're having done more of those.
Yeah, I wish they had more time. The one that I really liked was when they had to decide whether or not to tell the astronaut crew that Mark is alive, and let them decide whether or not they want to go get him. They'd be spending another 2 years in space. If something goes wrong at any point, they're going to die, and they never get in. And they know how those astronauts are going to decide, so they don't even want to give them the choice. They don't want to give them the freedom of deciding their fate. Because there's kind of this argument, if you already know how they're going to decide, it's not free will anymore.
So what were they planning on doing? I can't remember the movie. They planned on just allowing them to just come back to Earth and
come back to Earth, and they were going to try and get a rocket,
a different rocket up.
Yeah, that would go to Mark and deliver him more food so he could survive until the next Mars mission got to him.
Right. They weren't going to give them the option of ricocheting around the Star Trek 4.
Yeah, and one of the things that was even left out of the film that's in the book, those astronauts all decide if something goes wrong, the 5 of us can't survive. There's not going to be enough food while this ship comes all the way back around. But if 4 of us kill ourselves, the 5th person will have enough food now to eat.
Then you got to go that whole way with those corpses.
Eating the corpses, even.
4? Oh, is that what they decided to cannibalize?
That part of it would be you would still have some protein.
William Wilson.
And you're like, holy, that is pretty bad. The Kate Mara character, she gets to talk to her father when they get close to Earth. And he's like, I want you to be okay. I want you to come back. I want you to do this. And she's like, don't worry, Dad. I will come back.
The suggestion is that she's going to be the one to cannibalize off of
she's the smallest one, so she needs the fewest number of calories to survive. And he's like, holy crud. And she goes, yeah, don't tell Mom. So there are some great little moments like that, and you're going, is that what's morally right? But it's an interesting discussion.
When they get to Mars, they're like, Mark's like, hey, what? Where's everybody else?
Pot roast?
Yeah, I got a nice steak for you. Kate Mara, awesome.
Where's Jessica?
Yeah, where's Jessica? Wow.
But I mean, there is a lot of morality and, what do you do? And
right.
So I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's going to hold up. I think this is a movie that is pointed at when you're looking at the genre of science fiction saying, this is what we should try to be like. And, I also like that a science fiction film is getting nominated for Best Picture. That doesn't happen too often. And I guess our previous film that we talked about, Mad Max Fury Road, you could argue that that's even a little science fiction-y dystopia.
Yeah, science dystopia and fantasy, yeah.
So
you got the gravity, but yeah.
So that's The Martian. Next show is going to be The Revenant. Excellent. Which is The Martian, but 100 years ago.
Right.
All right. So thank you for joining me, L Train.
Thank you.
There be dragons.
Fox Bonum, everybody.
What do you think of this year's Academy Awards? Let Laugh know your opinion. Email the show at thelaughpodcast@gmail.com, tweet at The Laugh Podcast, or send a message on facebook.com/thelaughpodcast. We will read the best comments on a future show.